First Contact's price. The Neptune research station wasn't supposed to be anything special. Just another scientific outpost studying the ice giant's atmospheric patterns and magnetic fields. Commander Reyna Patel hadn't expected her final mission before retirement to be humanity's first contact with alien life, or its first interstellar war. The anomalies appeared gradually. Strange energy signatures that didn't match any known natural phenomena. Equipment malfunctions that couldn't be explained. Then came the visual confirmation through the station's quantum telescopes, massive ships materializing from what appeared to be tears in space itself, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly purple sheen. Status report, Reyna demanded, her voice steady despite the tension crackling through the station's observation deck. Dr. James Harrison, the station's lead physicist, manipulated the holographic display with trembling hands. They're mining something from Neptune's upper atmosphere. Energy signatures suggest technology far beyond our current understanding. But... He paused, frowning at the readings. They're being sloppy about it. Almost like they don't care about efficiency. Or like they don't expect anyone to be watching, Lieutenant Kai Nakamura added from his security station. The former Special Forces operator had seemed out of place on a research station, until now. The aliens, the Kraxen, as they would later learn, took 2 weeks to notice the human observation post. Their reaction was immediate and devastating. A single beam of purple energy lanced out from the smallest of their ships, cutting through the station's outer hull like it was paper. But the Kraxen had made their first mistake. They'd underestimated human preparation and ingenuity. "Execute Protocol Omega," Reyna ordered, her voice ice-cold. Throughout the station, quantum data cores began transmitting their contents through a revolutionary quantum entanglement network, a technology humanity had kept hidden from their own public networks. Every observation, every sensor reading, every scrap of data about the alien ships streamed to Earth at speeds the Kraxen believed impossible for primitive humans. The station's apparent destruction masked the launch of tiny stealth probes, their hulls coated with experimental metamaterials that bent light and other forms of detection around them. As the Neptune research station died, it seeded the solar system with the eyes and ears of humanity's coming resistance. Of the station's 50 crew members, only 5 survived in a hidden preservation pod, watching through its quantum-linked displays as their home disintegrated around them. They witnessed the Kraxen ships resume their mining operation without so much as a second scan of the debris field. "Arrogant bastards," Kai muttered, checking the pod's stealth systems for the 100th time. Dr. Harrison nodded grimly. "They think they've swatted an insect. They have no idea they've just kicked a hornet's nest." In the pod's cramped command seat, Reyna activated the quantum entanglement communicator, another technology humanity had kept secret. The message she sent was brief: First Contact Protocol Theta. Hostile forces confirmed. The sleeping giant now wakes. Throughout Earth's solar system, hidden facilities hummed to life. Quantum forges that had been disguised as mundane research stations began producing weapons and ships designed for this very moment. The plans had been in place for decades, ever since the first hints of alien activity had been detected at the edge of the solar system. Humanity had learned long ago that the galaxy might not be friendly. They had prepared accordingly, hiding their true technological progress behind a carefully constructed facade of primitive space flight and clumsy colonization attempts. As their preservation pod began its long, stealthy journey back to Earth, Reyna watched the alien ships through the quantum sensors. She thought about the 45 colleagues and friends who had sacrificed themselves to maintain humanity's deception. Their deaths would not be in vain. "They think they've just eliminated a primitive observation post," she said softly. "What they've actually done is sign their empire's death warrant." In the darkness of space, the Kraxen ships continued their mining operation, unaware that their actions had just triggered a response decades in the making. Humanity had hidden its teeth behind a mask of technological inferiority. Now, those teeth were about to be bared. The first shots of the war had been fired. The Kraxen Empire had made their choice, believing they were dealing with primitives who had barely mastered spaceflight. Soon, they would learn just how costly that assumption would be. As the preservation pod slipped through the shadows of the solar system, its 5 occupants carried with them the future of human-alien relations, and the beginning of a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. Silent preparation. Grand Admiral Victor Roscoff stood at the window of Lunar Command, watching Earth gleam like a jewel in the black velvet of space. Behind that peaceful facade, humanity's war machine was awakening. The quantum-encrypted reports from the Neptune incident had arrived 3 days ago, and the wheels of preparation were already in motion. The Lazarus Protocol is proceeding as planned, General Diana Walsh reported, her hologram flickering slightly in the command center. All civilian quantum tech is being quietly retrofitted with military applications. The public won't notice any changes. Victor nodded, his weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass. At 73, he had spent the last 30 years preparing for this moment. The Sentinel program, humanity's secret space defense initiative, had been his life's work. And Project Prometheus, he asked, though he already knew the answer. Everything had been ready for years, waiting for this catalyst. The first wave of ships is emerging from the quantum forges in the Kuiper Belt, Diana replied. The Kraxin won't detect them. Our quantum masking technology is generations ahead of their scanning capabilities. The doors whispered open, admitting Dr. Rohan Kapoor, head of the Quantum Warfare Division. His usually immaculate lab coat was wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes betraying sleepless nights of preparation. The Neptune survivors' data is illuminating, Rohan announced, bringing up a holographic display of the Kraxin ships. Their technology is advanced, yes, but predictable. They've grown complacent in their supposed superiority. They've had no real competition for so long that innovation has stagnated. Victor allowed himself a grim smile. While we've been preparing for this moment since we detected their first probe 20 years ago. The hologram shifted, showing the Kraxin's mining operation. They're harvesting quantum reactive elements from Neptune's atmosphere, Rohan explained. But their extraction method is wasteful, primitive compared to our quantum siphons. They rely on brute force where we've developed precision. How long until they notice the quantum field fluctuations from our shipyards? Diana asked. They won't, Rohan replied confidently. We're using their own mining operations as cover. Every time they fire up their extractors, we synchronize our quantum forge pulses with their energy signatures. To their sensors, it all looks like background radiation from their own activities. Victor turned from the window, surveying the command center. Dozens of officers and scientists worked at their stations, coordinating humanity's response to this existential threat. On the main screen, a map of the solar system showed the positions of their hidden facilities, shipyards, and weapon platforms, all invisible to Kraxin detection. Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Deploy the bait. Diana's hologram nodded sharply. The civilian mining colonies are ready for deployment. Each one equipped with outdated technology and staffed by volunteers from our special forces. They'll appear to be easy targets. Those volunteers, Victor's voice softened slightly. They understand this is likely a one-way mission. They all volunteered specifically for this role, sir, Diana confirmed. They know their sacrifices will help sell our deception. The Kraxin's overconfidence will be their undoing. Rohan brought up another display, this one showing the quantum weapon systems being installed in the defensive platforms hidden throughout the solar system. The Kraxin ships we observed at Neptune have significant vulnerabilities in their quantum shielding. They've never needed to defend against the kind of weapons we've developed. Because no one else in the galaxy has pursued quantum technology along the paths we have, Victor concluded. They all followed the same development trajectory, building on each other's discoveries. But we. He smiled, we developed in isolation, finding solutions they never imagined. A junior officer approached with a quantum tablet. Sir, the first bait colony is ready for deployment near Saturn's rings. The Kraxan mining fleet has been detected moving in that direction. Victor took a moment to study the faces around him. Humanity's best and brightest, working in secret for decades to prepare for this moment. The Kraxan thought they were dealing with primitives who had barely mastered space flight. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Implement radio silence protocols across all colonies, he ordered. From this moment forward, we present a facade of primitive communication methods. Let them think our technology is limited to radio waves and chemical rockets. Diana's hologram flickered as she received new data. The Kraxan fleet has detected our first colony. They're moving to investigate. Good, Victor turned back to the window, watching Earth's peaceful rotation. Soon, that peace would be shattered, but not in the way the Kraxan expected. Let them think they've found easy prey. Every colony they destroy will only reinforce their fatal misconception. In the depths of space, humanity's true fleet waited in dimensional pockets, their quantum drives silent, their weapons primed. The trap was set. Now all they had to do was wait for the Kraxan Empire to spring it. The deception game. High Commander Zenith of the Kraxan Empire's third expansion fleet couldn't believe his luck. Another primitive human mining operation, this one established in the rings of Saturn. These humans were proving to be wonderfully predictable in their stupidity. High Commander, his tactical officer, Sub-Commander Vex, called out. Scans confirm 23 human life signs in the facility. Their defenses are. He paused, mandibles twitching in amusement, projectile weapons and simple energy shields. Zenith's crystalline eyes glittered with disdain. Recall our last encounter with their kind? They tried to fight our boarding parties with chemical explosives. He gestured dismissively at the holographic display of the human facility. Begin the standard elimination procedure. No warnings, no communications. Let's make this quick, I'm due for my relaxation cycle. Deep within the human facility, Colonel Marcus Zhang watched the Kraxan ships approach through quantum-enhanced sensors disguised as primitive radar arrays. He and his 22 fellow Special Forces operators had spent months playing the role of ignorant miners, keeping up the charade even in their private moments in case of surveillance. They're moving into attack position, Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka reported, her fingers dancing over what appeared to be outdated console controls but were actually interfaces for highly sophisticated quantum sensors. Energy buildup in their main weapons. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. Send the data burst. Let's make sure our deaths mean something. Hidden quantum transmitters, their signals masked by the facility's outdated radio communications, began streaming tactical data about the Kraxan ships. Every weapon signature, shield frequency, and energy pattern was catalogued and transmitted via quantum entanglement to Earth's hidden command centers. The first Kraxan blast took out their communications array, or what appeared to be their communications array. The actual quantum transmitters continued their work, undetected and undamaged. Such a waste of resources, Zenith commented as his ships systematically destroyed the human facility. They don't even understand the value of the materials they're mining. If he had bothered to conduct a more thorough scan, if his crew hadn't been so convinced of their technological superiority, they might have noticed several anomalies. They might have wondered why the humans' life signs vanished a fraction of a second before each explosion. They might have questioned why the facility's power signature didn't match its supposed technological level. But they didn't notice, didn't question, didn't wonder. And that was exactly what humanity was counting on. In a quantum pocket dimension less than a kilometer away, Marcus and his team watched through dimensional viewers as their facility was destroyed. Their consciousness had been transferred seconds before the attack via quantum teleportation, leaving behind bioprinted duplicates to maintain the deception. Transfer complete, Dr. Aria Rodriguez, their quantum systems specialist, confirmed. All data has been transmitted. The Kraxan ship's tactical information has been added to the combat database. Marcus nodded, watching the Kraxan ships celebrate their victory through the dimensional viewers. How many more facilities do we need to sacrifice before we have enough data? "2 more should do it," Arya replied, reviewing the quantum calculations on her tablet. "We need to confirm their response patterns, make sure they maintain their standard attack protocols. The success of Operation Starfall depends on their predictability." Throughout the solar system, similar scenes were playing out. Carefully placed human facilities, each one appearing vulnerable and technologically primitive, drew Kraxan attacks like moths to flame. Each destroyed facility and its killed crew provided vital tactical data while reinforcing the Kraxan's fatal underestimation of human capabilities. Back on their flagship, the Kraxan commanders added another victory to their logs. High Commander Zenith even composed a message to the Imperial Academy, suggesting they use these encounters as training examples of how to deal with primitive species. "These humans," he dictated, "possess no understanding of quantum mechanics, no grasp of dimensional engineering. Their attempts at space colonization are almost pitifully primitive. I recommend we accelerate our timeline for full system conquest. Such resources shouldn't be wasted on species incapable of properly utilizing them." In the quantum pocket dimension, Marcus and his team received the intercepted transmission. "They're accelerating their timeline," he reported through the quantum entanglement communicator to Lunar Command. "Just as we predicted." Admiral Roskov's response was immediate, "Excellent. Their eagerness to conquer what they perceive as an easy target will be their undoing. Continue with the operation. 2 more facilities, then we spring the trap." As the Kraxan ships jumped away through conventional space, leaving behind the debris of what they thought was another successful extermination, humanity's hidden quantum fleet grew stronger. Each defeat brought them closer to victory. Each display of primitive technology masked the deployment of weapons that would reshape the galaxy. The deception game continued, and humanity was playing it perfectly. Operation Starfall. The Kraxan Imperial Command Center orbiting Jupiter was a testament to their supposed technological superiority. Its crystalline spires and quantum-forged hull gleamed in the gas giant's reflected light, housing over 10,000 of the Empire's finest warriors and administrators. Supreme Commander Thalax stood at his command post, reviewing reports of their successful pacification efforts against the primitive humans. 57 mining colonies eliminated, hundreds of human casualties, and not a single Kraxan loss. Everything was proceeding exactly as expected. "Supreme Commander," his chief science officer interrupted, "we're detecting unusual energy fluctuations throughout the system." Thalax waved a dismissive tentacle. "Probably those humans testing some new chemical rocket design. How primitive must a species be to still rely on chemical propulsion?" "Sir," the science officer's voice wavered, "these readings, they don't match any known human technology. In fact, they don't match any known technology in our database." Before Thalax could respond, space itself seemed to tear open. Not in one place, but in thousands of locations simultaneously throughout the solar system. From these dimensional rifts emerged humanity's true fleet, sleek vessels of impossible geometries, their quantum-forged hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. "Impossible," Thalax whispered, his mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. "Their technology level, they shouldn't be capable of." "Multiple quantum signatures detected," his tactical officer screamed. "Energy readings off the scale. They're everywhere." In Lunar Command, Admiral Roscoff gave the order they'd been waiting decades to issue: Operation Starfall is now active. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega. Show them what humanity is truly capable of. The human fleet moved with impossible precision, their quantum drives allowing them to phase in and out of normal space. Weapons that the Kraxan had thought centuries beyond human capability opened fire. Quantum-tipped missiles phased through Kraxan shields as if they didn't exist. Dimensional lances cut through their supposedly impenetrable hulls. "This is Admiral Helena Ortiz of the Earth Defense Force," a transmission cut through all Kraxan frequencies. "Your assumptions about humanity's capabilities have been greatly exaggerated. In the chaos of the initial assault, Colonel Marcus Zhang led his Special Forces team in quantum-powered battle suits through the halls of the Kraxan Command Center. Their suits' phase technology allowed them to walk through walls, while their quantum weapons disrupted the very atomic structure of any Kraxan who stood in their way. How? A dying Kraxan officer asked as Marcus's team secured the command center. You were primitive, we saw your colonies, your technology. Marcus smiled behind his quantum phase visor. You saw what we wanted you to see. Every colony you destroyed was a carefully crafted prop. Every human you thought you killed was a bioprinted duplicate. We've been watching, learning, and preparing since your first scout ship entered our system 20 years ago. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden quantum forge facilities emerged from their dimensional pockets, revealing industrial capabilities that rivaled the entire Kraxan Empire. Ships that had been manufactured in secret for decades joined the battle, their crews well-trained and eager to defend their species. Dr. Aria Rodriguez, now commanding a quantum battleship, watched with satisfaction as her vessel's weapons systems tore through the Kraxan fleet's formations. Their quantum shielding is pathetically outdated, she reported to Lunar Command. They never considered the possibility of targeted quantum phase disruption. They've been using the same technology for so long, they've forgotten how to innovate. The Kraxans' attempts to call for reinforcements failed as humanity's quantum communication jammers blocked all conventional faster-than-light communications. They were isolated, outgunned, and facing an enemy they had fatally underestimated. Send word to all Kraxan vessels, Admiral Roscoff commanded. They have one opportunity to surrender. After that, we show no mercy. They certainly showed none to our mining colonies. As the battle raged across the solar system, the true extent of humanity's deception became clear to the horrified Kraxan commanders. The primitive chemical rockets they had mocked were actually advanced quantum ships in disguise. The simple radio communications they had intercepted were a cover for an entire network of quantum entanglement communicators. Every sign of human technological inferiority had been carefully crafted to create this moment. Supreme Commander Thalax, now a prisoner watching his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled, finally understood the magnitude of their error. We never stood a chance, did we? He asked his captors. No, Marcus replied simply. You were too convinced of your own superiority to see the truth. And now, your empire is about to learn a very expensive lesson about underestimating humanity. Empire's Reckoning. The Kraxan Imperial Palace on their homeworld of Kraxus Prime had stood for 10,000 cycles, its quantum crystal spires a symbol of unchallenged dominance. Now, those spires reflected the arrival of humanity's diplomatic fleet, a calculated display of power that made the palace's grandeur seem quaint in comparison. Emperor Vaxen XII, supreme ruler of the Kraxan Empire, watched through narrowed crystalline eyes as the human ships took position above his capital. Their quantum-forged hulls seemed to drink in the light of the binary suns, making them appear as holes in reality itself. In just 3 standard months, these primitives had systematically dismantled a third of his empire's military might. The human delegation is ready to beam down, Your Magnificence, his chamberlain announced, mandibles quivering with barely contained fear. Beam down. Vaxen sneered. Surely they'll use our teleportation platforms. His words died as human figures simply appeared in the throne room, bypassing all security measures and defensive shields. Their quantum phase technology made the Kraxans' most advanced security systems seem like paper walls. Admiral Victor Roscoff led the delegation, his dress uniform adorned with quantum-shifting materials that seemed to capture and release light in impossible ways. At his side stood Colonel Marcus Zhang and Dr. Aria Rodriguez, heroes of what humans now called the Neptune War. Emperor Vaxen, Victor's voice carried easily through the vast chamber. We come to discuss the terms of your empire's surrender. Surrender? Vaxen rose from his crystalline throne, his ceremonial armor glinting. The Kraxan Empire has ruled this sector for 50,000 cycles. We do not, sir. Your empire, Arya interrupted, activating a holographic display that filled the throne room, has lost 37% of its fleet, 12 major colony worlds, and control of all quantum resource mining operations in 3 sectors. All in less than 1 standard Earth quarter. Marcus stepped forward, his battle armor's quantum field humming softly. We could continue this war. We could extend our campaign to every corner of your empire. But we're not like you. We don't destroy simply because we can. The display shifted, showing recordings of the Kraxan attacks on human mining colonies. You killed our people, Victor's voice was cold. You thought you were swatting insects. Instead, you awakened a giant. Those colonies were traps, Vaxen protested. Deceptions. Yes, Victor agreed. And you fell for every one. Your arrogance made you predictable. While you celebrated easy victories over what you thought were primitive outposts, we studied your every move. Every attack gave us more data, more understanding of your technological limitations. Dr. Rodriguez activated another display, this one showing the quantum technology gap between human and Kraxan capabilities. Your empire's technological development has been stagnant for millennia. You built on existing principles, never questioning, never innovating. We developed in isolation, finding solutions you never imagined possible. The terms are simple, Victor continued. The Kraxan Empire will immediately cease all military operations. You will withdraw from the territories you've illegally occupied. You will pay reparations to all species you've deemed primitive and exploited. And if we refuse? Vaxen's voice wavered slightly. In response, Marcus activated a small quantum device. Throughout the palace, every piece of Kraxan technology simply stopped working. Weapons, shields, communication devices, all dead. That was just a taste, Marcus explained. Our quantum disruption technology can render your entire civilization helpless. We could send you back to your Stone Age with the press of a button. But we don't want to, Victor added. We want peace. We want cooperation. We want to help your empire move forward rather than stagnate in false superiority. Emperor Vaxen slowly sank back onto his throne. Around him, his advisors and guards stood helpless, their mighty weapons reduced to decorative pieces. How, he finally asked. How did you hide all this from us? Because you saw what you expected to see, Arya explained. Your cultural arrogance blinded you to the possibility that a younger species could surpass you. Every primitive radio signal, every chemical rocket, every seemingly vulnerable colony reinforced your prejudices. You never thought to look deeper, Marcus added. Never considered that our apparent technological inferiority might be a carefully constructed deception. Victor stepped forward, extending a data crystal containing the full terms of surrender. Your empire stands at a crossroads, Emperor Vaxen. Choose carefully. The next chapter of your species' history depends on this moment. As Vaxen reached for the crystal, the human delegation knew they had won. Not just a military victory, but a chance to reshape galactic civilization. The age of Kraxan supremacy was over. A new era of human-led innovation and cooperation would take its place. In orbit, humanity's quantum fleet maintained its vigilant watch, a reminder of the price of arrogance and the folly of underestimating those you deem primitive. The Neptune War had lasted just 3 months, but its consequences would echo through the galaxy for millennia to come. Humanity had revealed its true power, not through blind aggression, but through careful planning and strategic patience. They had fought not for conquest, but for recognition and respect. And in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever. The giants were no longer sleeping. They were awake, and the universe would never be the same.